You start a GLP-1 medication and you commit to it. At first, it works, but then something shifts. Your weight is going down, but not as quickly as your friend who started at the same time. You stay consistent, you do everything right, but the gap keeps getting bigger. They keep losing, and your progress starts to slow. Then you hit a plateau. Your weight stops moving while they continue to drop further. Now you are sitting there thinking, what am I doing wrong? Is this my fault? Why did I not lose as much weight as others? Am I going to lose more weight, or is that it? This is the moment most people get it wrong. They start to blame themselves. But what you are seeing here is not random. This is not a failure of effort. This is biology, and this is where things start to make sense. People do not respond to GLP-1 medications in the same way. They fall at different points of what we call GLP-1 response spectrum. Some people respond strongly even at lower doses. Others, they need higher doses just to feel the same effect. And some never fully get there. So when you compare your progress to someone else, you're not comparing effort, you are comparing completely different biology. I am Dr. Almeri, a consultant weight loss surgeon and obesity specialist. In this video, I'm going to show you why some people lose a small amount of weight while others lose dramatically more on the same exact medication. We will break down what is happening in your biology, why your weight loss eventually slows or even plateaus, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. So instead of guessing, instead of comparing yourselves to others, you leave this video with a clarity. You understand what is actually driving your progress and why your journey looks different. And most importantly, you know exactly what to do next. Let's break this down properly. So let's start with what we actually see. When these medications were studied, something very consistent showed up. If we look at the Step 1 trial with Wegovy, around 10% of people lost less than 5% of their body weight, while around a third of them lost more than 25% of their weight. That's kind of approaching the results we see with weight loss surgery. Now, most people fell somewhere in the middle, around that range of 15%. Same medication, same system, very different outcomes. And this is not an exception, this is the pattern. So when you hear 15% average weight loss, it sounds simple, it sounds clear. But here's the thing, it hides something important because that number blends together people with completely different outcomes. And this is exactly where people could get misled because you are shown a single number, but not the full picture behind it. And that is not a small detail. That actually changes how you interpret your own results. Because if you are someone who falls on the lower end, you sit there thinking, I must be doing something wrong. Why is this not working for me in the same way? When in reality, you were never shown that wide range of reality. You were never told that some people lose very little weight while others lose dramatically more. And without that context, it feels like you are the problem, but you are not. This is biology variation. Now, when you look at real people in clinical practice, this pattern becomes even clearer. I see this variation in my patients every day. Now, you are probably thinking, why does that variation happen? What explains it? And the answer is in the biology. Now, here's the key idea. As the dose increases, the effect on hunger increases. But at the same time, side effects increase as well. So what's happening is every person is moving along their own path, trying to reach a point where the hunger control is strong enough, but the side effects are still tolerable. This is where people start to separate. Some people are very sensitive to GLP-1 signaling, so even at low doses, their appetite drops, their hunger is controlled, and they don't need to go any higher. Others, they need higher doses to reach exactly the same level of effect, and that is completely normal. But here is where it becomes frustrating. For the same biological signaling reason, some people experience side effects at lower doses, even before they could reach the optimal level of hunger control. So they are forced to stop or stay at a low dose. That simply is not enough to give them the best hunger control. while for others, they have very few side effects, so they continue to increase the dose until they reach their optimal level of effect. Now, if you put this together, you start to see a very clear pattern. Some people respond strongly, some people struggle to respond, and most people sit somewhere in between. And this is what we call the GLP-1 response spectrum. This has nothing to do with the effort. This is biological variation on how your body responds to the signal, tolerates the dose, and reaches its optimal effect. And now you are probably thinking, where do I sit on that spectrum? Now, once you ask that question, everything changes. The question is no longer, why am I not like them? It becomes, what do I do from here? And that shift is what actually moves you forward. Now, at some point, something else happens, and this part is inevitable. No matter where you are on the GLP-1 response spectrum, whether you lost a lot of weight or less than what you expected, eventually your weight stops moving. You hit a plateau. With current GLP-1 medications, clinical trials show that this plateau often happens somewhere around a year into treatment. Now, this is not new. We have seen this phenomenon for years in weight loss surgery patients. This is not failure. This is not something to be afraid of. This is your body activating a backstop mechanism to defend its energy reserves, even in the presence of GLP-1 medications or after surgery. Your body works to stabilize itself again at a new weight with a new baseline. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think the medication stopped working, or worse, they think it's their fault. But neither is true. This is your biology reaching a new balance. Now, let's be honest about something. Some people on GLP-1 medications rely purely on what I call autopilot weight loss. This is where the medication is doing most of the work. Your hunger is reduced, so your portions are smaller. But beyond that, very little has changed. Your environment, your habits, your food structures, your food choices are largely the same. That approach works up to a point. It will take you to your plateau, and that's where it stops. Now, if you want to go further, you need to move beyond the autopilot mode into what I call a structured weight loss. Here, you don't just rely on the medication, you support it. You structure your environment, you guide your behavior, you make the medication work better for you. And this is where things start to change. Now, implementing this conscious approach does two important things for you. First, it pushes your plateau further down. Wherever you are on the GLP-1 response spectrum, it helps you get more out of your biology. And second, it protects you from significant weight regain if you decide to stop the medication. Because if you stop and you have relied only on the autopilot weight loss, your biology is still there, and the weight will come back quickly and significantly if you stop the drug. And this is the part many people don't see coming. I have made a separate video about weight regain after stopping GLP-1 medication. If you want to explore that topic further, you will find the link for that video down below. Now, if you build an intentional structured weight loss program along the way when you are on the GLP-1 medication, then you are in a completely different position. So this is not just about losing more weight. It's about how to hold into it. And that comes down to a simple shift from autopilot weight loss to a structured weight loss. And this is where everything starts to open up. Now, structured weight loss relies on two key pillars, which I will explain to you in the next section. Get these right and your weight loss moves further. Get them wrong and you stay limited by where your biology takes you. Now, the first pillar is muscle preservation, and this is where a lot of people get this completely wrong. They focus only on the scale. They celebrate the number going down, but they never ask, what kind of weight am I actually losing? Now, if you are being honest, you have probably never really thought about it this way. But here's the reality. Major clinical studies showed that as much as 30 to 40% of the weight lost in people on GLP-1 medication is not fat, it is muscle. Just think about that for a moment. You could be losing the very tissues that protect you from regaining the weight. And this is where the real problem starts. Because muscle is not just about strength, it is your metabolic protection. Lose it and your system becomes more vulnerable, and weight regain becomes much easier. So let me say this clearly. Never, ever, ever start GLP-1 medication without a plan to protect your muscle. This is non-negotiable, and this is what I call the muscle preservation system. Now, this system is built around two core foundations. The first foundation is sending the right signals to your muscles to grow, and the second is giving them the building blocks to repair and grow. Now, this is where many people get confused. You might be thinking, isn't walking enough? Well, walking is good for your general health, but it is not enough to preserve your muscles. And this is where most people slip. The signaling you need comes from resistance training, weights, bands, body weight, whatever strength exercise that suits you. 2 sessions per week are enough to send the signal to your body. Let's keep these muscles because I need them. Now, the second foundation is protein, because protein is the building block that your muscle needs to repair itself and grow. And this is where things quietly go wrong. You might not notice it, but it is happening because GLP-1 medications reduces how much you eat. So unless you prioritize protein, you will undereat it. And when that happens, muscle loss accelerates. So think simply, protein first whenever you build your meals. Now you have the muscle preservation system, but here's the problem. Even with muscle protected, you may still find yourself getting hungry again. And that is where people get frustrated. Now, this is where the second pillar becomes critical. I call this pillar the fullness food structure. Now, this is where many people make the same mistake again. They focus only on calories. They ask, how little can I eat? But that is the wrong question, because your body does not see this as dieting. It reads it as a famine. It sees it as a threat. Then your body activates a biological pushback to defend its energy reserves. Your hunger rises, your metabolism slows. This is not a willpower problem. This is biology pushing back. So instead of asking, how little can I eat? You need to ask, what can I eat that actually keeps me full? Now, fullness is not about calories. It is about how your body processes food. And fiber sits at the center of that system. Foods rich in fiber like vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, they slow down digestion. They keep food in your system longer. They create a more sustained release of energy. And that changes your hunger signals. You stay full for longer. Now, here is where some people could get it wrong. They rely on foods that are rapidly absorbed, low in fiber, something like ultra-processed food, which are easy to overeat. And these foods, they bypass your natural satiety system. So even when you've eaten enough, you don't feel full. So instead, focus on whole foods, foods that resemble their natural form, because these are the foods your biology will recognize normally and respond to in the right way. So the principle here is simple. Build meals that slow digestion and sustain fullness. High in fiber, adequate protein, whole foods where possible, because this is how you support the chemical appetite control, which is coming from the medication, with natural biological signaling. And that is what makes this sustainable. Now, if you want to go deeper into this topic, I have explained it in more details in the GLP-1 Bridge Framework video. You will find the link for this video below. Now, if you reach a plateau and your weight stays there for weeks or even months, it's very easy to start thinking, the medication is not helping me anymore. And this is where many people make the wrong decision. They stop the medication. But what happens next is something most people are not prepared for. The weight comes back, and often it comes back faster than you expect. Not because the medication failed, but because the underlying biology is still there. And if you don't understand this, you risk losing everything you have just achieved. So if you want to understand why weight regain happens, and most importantly how to prevent it, I have broken it down in details in a previous video. I recommend anybody who is already on GLP-1 or thinking about starting GLP-1 to watch that video. You will find the link up here. I am Dr. Almeri. If you find this helpful and you have not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel reaching more people who needs to understand this topic and make better decisions about their health. Thank you for being part of the conversation. I will see you in the next one.